Good morning. Welcome to you all. My name is Rebecca Riggs. I use the pronoun she, her. And we start our time together with opening words by Andrew Pakula, titled, "Let There Be Light," since the coming of the light is our theme for this morning's worship. Let there be light, the light of joy, the light of happiness, and the light of creativity. May it illuminate our paths and fill our lives with peace.
And let there be dark, for it is from our dark places that we are brought forward, tried and tested, and impelled toward growth. It is in these places that we realize compassion and patience and learn to love.
And there was day, and there was night, and there was joy, and there was sorrow, and it was good. Now let us bring the chalice light into our time of worship.
My name is Mary Rothschild. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my pleasure to welcome all of you who are present with us today, both in the sanctuary and online. We're delighted that you're here to worship with us, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we bid you welcome to this sacred space of love and community. Let this time we spend together honor our diversity in all its forms, and let us welcome each other with openness, compassion, and care. We are always delighted to welcome guests among us. For those of you who are new to visiting VUU, we would so appreciate it if you could find the courage to stand so that we could greet you now and after the service. Will visitors please stand? Thank you. Thank you. I know that takes courage. And to all our friends online, if those of us in the sanctuary could wave hello, we can greet each other virtually as well. Thank you. For those of you attending in person who might want to know more about Unitarian Universalism in general and Valley UU in particular, a welcome circle will form at the side of the sanctuary. Just look for the welcome circle sign and join the discussion after you get a beverage. Or just stay and chat. We're a friendly group of folks. If you're visiting online, you will be able to join a breakout room discussion. Simply accept the Zoom invitation that will appear following the service. If you have a burden that you'd like to share with someone or just need a listening ear, a trained pastoral care associate will be available after the service, both in person and online. Our pastoral care associate in the sanctuary today is Carlin Knight, and Carlin will be waiting at the very front of the sanctuary on your right, immediately following the service. Alternatively, if you're viewing the service online, Dan Schulte will be available on Zoom immediately following the service. Just send him a chat message. Additionally, lay pastoral care associates are also available during the week at pastoralcare@vuu.org. For those of you who are in the sanctuary, there's a quiet room on your right for use during the service for anyone needing a break. It's soundproofed and has a speaker, so you won't miss anything. Rebecca Riggs already introduced herself as our service leader today. As our settled minister, the Reverend Sarah Oglesby Dunnigan, is out of the pulpit. And Rebecca will be speaking on a season of waiting, which as Advent begins, every child knows Christmas is soon here, and I suspect they, as well as I, can hardly wait for it. Let the season of waiting begin. And thank you all for being here today. And now it's time for our opening song, This Little Light of Mine, 118 in the Gray Hymnal. This morning, our service will try to find meaning in both the darkness and the coming of light. But to start, let's sing to the light that we all have while the kids are still with us to add their voices. Please stand in body or in spirit and sing together, This Little Light of Mine.
Except for the kids. This is our time for all ages, so I'm going to ask the kids to come on up front. Do we have any this week? If not, it is a time for all ages, and you're all some age or other. Can I use this mic? Great. All right. Well, we're going to be talking today about light and dark, and I wanted to ask you some questions. Okay, so have you ever been in the light? Yes? When? You're in the light right now. We all are. So, you know, we all know that. How about in the dark? Have you ever been in the dark? When? Tell me a time you've been in the dark. In your room? At night? Okay. Is the dark ever scary? Never, ever, ever, maybe yes. Okay. All right. I want to talk about sometimes when the scary dark might actually not be quite so scary. Okay, so I want you to look at the next slide and tell me, when we are in the dark, what do we sometimes get that's kind of fun? What is that a picture of? Marshmallows and, yeah, fire. We have a campfire. Yeah. Have any of you ever been camping? Did you ever have a campfire when you were camping? Do you ever start it at the very beginning of the day when the sun is just rising? No. When do you do it? At night. Yeah, because the light of the campfire, wow, that's neat at nighttime. Wouldn't be so neat during the day. And then you get to roast marshmallows. Whoa, yum. Do you like roasted marshmallows? Yes. Do you like s'mores? Yes. I hate s'mores. Oh. You too? All right. Let's think of something else in the dark. What's next? What do we see? What's that a picture of? Flashlights. Yeah. Did you ever have somebody sleep over or with your brother or sister and make a fort where it was all covered with blankets and things? Yeah. Good. And sometimes when I used to do that, we'd have a flashlight, and we'd play with the flashlight in the dark. And I also realized that I'm old. So have any of you played with lasers instead of flashlights? Have you ever played with lasers? One time? Laser tag, exactly. Is that more fun in the light or the dark? The dark, yes. Okay, one more slide. Next slide. Ooh, have any of you ever been outside and just where there wasn't all the lights around Phoenix and just looked up and looked like millions of stars? Have you all ever done that? Yeah? Okay. Have you ever looked through a telescope at some of those stars? Yeah? You know, if you never have, I hope sometime in your life you get a chance to look through a telescope at the stars. Can we see the stars right now if we went out there with a telescope? Why not? It's light. Yeah, we can only enjoy the stars when it gets dark. Okay, next slide. What's that? Fireworks. Have you ever been to a fireworks show? Yes. Did they start it right after lunch? No. When did they start it? The fireworks are usually on the 4th of July. You're exactly right. And we usually wait till it gets dark, right? Or what? Or New Year's. Yes, they're around a lot at New Year's. Okay, they wouldn't be nearly so fun if we did it during the daytime. All right, what else is up there? Is there another one? I think there's another one. Is that the end? Oh, no. There we go. Do you have any idea what that picture is? It's the sunrise. Have any of you ever been awake to see the sunrise? Yeah. School days when you have to get up early? Yeah. What? Yeah, in the morning. And if you really were there to see the sunrise, what was it like just before the sun rose? It was dark, right? Yeah. So after you leave, we're going to be talking about all this stuff about light and dark, and I wanted you to think about it a little bit too. So now we're going to have you go to your classes. And to do that, you all get your own little light, okay? We're going to hand everybody a light, and then we no longer do the Bridge of Love, but we do sing the kids out. So you guys come up, and we'll give you a light. And then we'll stand, please. And we're singing, "May Your Life Be as a Song."
As a fourth-generation Washingtonian, short winter days filled with darkness are something I grew up with. It's just the way it is when you're that far north, but it doesn't mean you have to like it. Actually, when I moved here to Arizona 49 years ago, I genuinely hated being in the desert. And one of the very few good things I could say about Phoenix was at least I didn't go to ASU in the dark and come home in the dark in the winter, which is exactly what school was like in Washington in the winter. And maybe being raised that way is why I am so incredibly happy to see the light every day as the dark gives way, even in the heat of our summers, which is kind of inexplicable. Even as I have grown to love the desert, I so loathed when I moved here for my position at ASU almost 50 years ago. I've told you all before about my father waking me up every morning with a loud singing of, "Good morning to you, good morning to you, good morning, dear Mary, good morning to you." And then a verse from Psalm 118. "This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And then, as if I needed more, Longfellow's "Let us now be up and doing, with a heart for any fate, still achieving, still pursuing, learn to labor and to wait." And on bad days, I'd say, "I'm learning to wait." And in the winter, while this serenade was going on every morning, I could hear the rain drip, drip, dripping, and it was pitch black outside my bedroom windows. I guess I should also say that our dad grew up working class in Long Beach, California during the Depression, and followed the US way to the middle class by going to community college, then sort of amazingly on to Stanford to complete his BA, and then to Stanford Law, where he met and married Mom, who was a graduate student in zoology. After serving in the Navy during World War II, he became a businessman. With 4 kids by 1948, he and Mom decided to look for and ultimately buy a farm in 1952. My dad commuted to Seattle daily to the business, and Mom was at home taking care of us. Theoretically, at least, it was also we kids would learn the importance of hard work and what it meant to have a responsibility for others, including animals. Neither of our parents knew the first thing about farming. Both were city-raised, but they thought it would be good for us kids, and we could all learn farming together. It wasn't until graduate school that I realized they were 18th century Jeffersonians who believed if we had real work as children and were close to the earth, we'd grow up to be virtuous people. Having said that, however, we kids all loved the farm, and it was a wonderful place to grow up. Well, last weekend, I was in the Seattle area to celebrate our stepmother's 101st birthday, and I was staying with my middle brother, David. It's David on the right, my dad on the left, and my sister-in-law, Kate, and I found this little book David had made for our father for his 80th birthday, which he titled, "This is the Day That the Lord Hath Made," a memoir of growing up on a farm with a remarkable father farmer and other assorted memories of my DOD, by which he meant dear old dad, not Department of Defense. And I had to read it. First of all, what a wonderful and thoughtful gift. It was a set of mini essays of memories he had of growing up with Dad. I was impressed, but then David was a social worker who worked with abused children, and he's a thoughtful guy, so I wasn't really entirely surprised. His first mini essay was titled "Animal Husbandry, or My Introduction to Paternal Sadism," which I am lightly editing to take out some words that are not so much appropriate for church. So here is David's essay, and I quote, "Pretty much without fail, it would happen about 6 a.m., sometimes even earlier, and that makes it pretty much," and this is in caps and italicized, "in the middle of the freaking night for a teenager. Dad would burst into the room, turn on the lights, the better to see his buck-naked body with towel draped, throw open not one, but 2 windows, and in a disgustingly cheerful and loud voice proclaim, 'This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, boys. I can hear the little cavies.'" Somehow the little cavies part really galled me. I'm not sure why. "Calling out to you to come and feed them. Time to get up and go forth." Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one going out into 37 degrees and the drizzle of Western Washington wintertime. But being the essentially good, compliant boys we were, note the past tense, forth we would trudge, rubber barn boots nearly up to our knees, to feed the little cavies. and for all the grumbling we did about our sadistic father. And trust me, if he'd heard much of what passed between Peter and me on our way out to the barn, Dad would have had to engage in some serious father therapy. Once we got to the barn, it would pretty much all be forgotten. For there they were, those little calves wiggling their entire bodies with such unabashed joy at seeing us. Us, the ones who cared for them, fed them, watered them, bathed them, checked their bedding, cut the dried-on calf manure off their tails. Believe me, not one of the more fun parts of bovine husbandry, and whom they were attached to as surely as any child attaches to his or her parent. So for giving me this memory, I say, thanks, Dad. End of David's essay. And I want to thank Daddy and Mom, too, for teaching all of us the value of hard work that people and animals can depend on. I also want to thank Daddy and acknowledge that even in the dark, drear Washington winter, and even as I groaned and rolled my sleepy eyes at his wake-up ritual, he taught me, as well as my brothers, that we should wake up daily looking for joy and gladness, knowing that the light will come, taking away the dark, and most especially, that every day is a gift. As I approach 80 in a couple of months, I am so grateful that I was wakened every morning with the rock-solid knowledge that the dark would lead to light, and with it, the joy and gift of a new day. I wish that rock-solid knowledge for all of you, too. May it be so.
Don't you sometimes feel like you get 2 sermons? You know? Thank you. As we now quiet ourselves and begin our time of centering, I want to share with you some sad news. Long-term member Jody Cicerello was in an accident while on her motorcycle, and she was killed. I ask you to remember her, honor her, keep her and her grieving family in your thoughts and in your hearts. I'm going to light this candle for Jody. And as we continue this time of centering, please know that you are always welcome at any time to participate in the rituals that help express what is in your heart. That can be lighting a candle, adding water to the fountain, placing a stone. They can all be part of your centering or your prayer. Feel free to get up and do that at any time. We gather together for worship, and one of the first things we do is light the chalice. And at least I don't think much more about the chalice through the rest of the service. But during this centering time, I ask you to again think of that flame. And let it be a beacon of hope for everyone here. Let it help you find your center, help you feel safe, give you strength, and honor your searching mind and spirit. Let the light help illuminate whatever may be in your heart this morning. And as you do that, we will first just listen to the piano music, staying seated. And then we will join in a beautiful hymn that we haven't sung in a long time. It's called Winds Be Still. But let's just listen first. Thank you, whoever you are. This time of year, after Thanksgiving and heading into December, I'm usually involved in planning the Longest Night service, which is a service designed to give space to those who are dealing with grief and not totally caught up in the December holiday spirit. It's a difficult balance, acknowledging pain and yet not giving up on the possibility of joy. I thought maybe this balance was worth exploring with all of you. After all, this is the first Sunday of Advent, and thus a season for waiting for a saving grace from us all, for us all. It was actually the words of renowned author Toni Morrison that started me thinking of how this waiting for hope connected to the spiritual season of Advent. In a 1990s literary magazine interview, Morrison was asked whether she had any rituals that she engaged in during her writing process. She responded, quote, "I, at first, thought I didn't have a ritual, but then I remembered that I always get up and make a cup of coffee while it is still dark. It must be dark. And then I drink the coffee and watch the light come. And I realized that for me, this ritual comprises my preparation to enter a space I can only call non-secular. Writers all devise ways to approach that place where they expect to make contact, where they become a conduit, or where they engage in some mysterious process. For me, light is the signal for this transition. It's not being in the light, it's being there before it arrives. Especially in this season, I keep returning to those words of Toni Morrison. In order to enter the magical space, the holy space where she connects with a creative force that flows through her, Morrison prepares herself by making a cup of coffee, and then she sits in the dark and waits for the light to come. It's not being in the light, she says. It's being there before it arrives. That is such an important distinction to me. Now, I know some people have probably said this in every single age, but in times like this one, once again, hope can be hard to find. Where is the hope in the hate-fueled politics splashed across the headlines, the threats of mass deportations, the pervasive poverty and climate change and racism and war and countries on the brink of war? Where is the hope, sometimes in my own life, as I find myself this time of year withdrawing just a little bit more each day, as I eat a few more bites after I'm really not hungry, as I forget to mail the much belated birthday card, or when I do not even want to think about Christmas cards, because I'm remembering the darkest days of my life. Over and over again, I watch destructive patterns play out in the outer world and closer in. It's not just change we want. That happens constantly all around us all the time. It's positive change that is so desperately needed in our world and in our community. I imagine some of you want positive change in your lives or in your relationships too. Or even to have just some relief from the frustration that comes from just being human. We don't want to give up on hope. Most of us were taught that hope is an emotion, something you feel when possibilities seem bright, a kind of optimism, or sometimes perhaps even a kind of naivete. But when you don't feel that hope, it becomes harder to care, harder to take action, harder to imagine real changes for the better. When I need to feel more hopeful, I start thinking of Morrison's words. It's not being in the light. It's being there before it arrives. Maybe hope doesn't just appear when life circumstances start going well. Maybe that magical time only comes when I prepare myself with my spiritual cup of coffee and go and sit in the dark, waiting for the light to come, hoping for hope to arrive. As we've mentioned earlier, today begins the first week of the season of Advent for Western Christians. Advent, or Adventus, means arrival or coming. During the season of Advent, Christians look towards the arrival of the Messiah, celebrating both the birth of Jesus of Nazareth and awaiting the Messiah's return. Advent is a liturgical season of anticipation, yearning, a season of spiritual preparation, a season of waiting for hope. Advent actually feels to me like the Christian liturgical equivalent of Toni Morrison's writing routine. Instead of just celebrating Christmas on December 25th each year, instead of just showing up when the light is already there, Christians take 4 weeks of spiritual preparation, making their cup of coffee and sitting in the dark, to be present in that time before the light comes, that time before hope arrives in the flesh, that time before the magic. Now, many years ago now, when I felt at my most hopeless, I asked a friend, one here at VUU, who seemed to always have a positive attitude, where she always finds hope. "I don't feel hope all the time," she told me. "I allow myself to feel whatever I am honestly feeling. But then I choose hope. I try to practice hope simply as a way of life." Václav Havel, a writer, philosopher, and former president of the Czech Republic, describes hope as an orientation of the spirit, an orientation of the heart. He wrote, "Hope, in this deep and powerful sense, is not the same thing as joy, that everything is going well, or a willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously headed for early success. But rather, hope is an ability to work for something because it's good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed." Hope is definitely not the same thing as optimism. It's not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense regardless of how it turns out. In a few weeks, the holiday known to Jews around the world is Hanukkah. As the sun goes down on December 25th of our calendar, millions of Jews will prepare to light the first candle of the menorah. Many of you, if not all of you, know the story. When the Hellenistic forces had been driven out from the Holy Temple, Hebrew scripture tells us that the Maccabees discovered that almost all of their ritual oil had been destroyed. Only one container was still sealed and therefore would be able to be used in the ritual. And it would take 8 days to have new oil processed and made ready for use. The Maccabees went ahead and burned the oil they had, not expecting it to last the full 8 days. But it did. We often think of Hanukkah as a holiday celebrating light, celebrating miracles, celebrating victory over oppression. But as Rabbi David Wolpe, the rabbi of the Sinai Temple in Los Angeles, reminds us, the actual meaning of the Hebrew word Hanukkah is rededication. He writes, quote, "Hanukkah is about something more important than dedication. It's about rededication. In our lives, what we do once is hardly as important as what we do over and over again. The greatest miracle in the Hanukkah story was the people's resolution to rededicate. When the world is falling apart, as it does over and over throughout our lives, what is most important is not our one-time dedication, but our rededication to the practice of hope, to the willingness to work for something because it's good and right, and rather than just because we think it will succeed. Changing the patterns of destruction in our world, either on a large scale or on a very small scale, does not take dedication, it takes rededication. It takes each of us showing up again and again, each willing to practice hope, each willing to work for that in which we believe. On that first day after the Holy Temple was destroyed, though they could not have felt hopeful, the beleaguered Jews chose to practice hope anyway. They lit the menorah, knowing they didn't have enough oil. Lighting the menorah felt like the right thing to do, even though they didn't expect the light to last the needed 8 days. Rabbi Wolpe writes, God's miracle of making oil last 8 days, that came later. The miracle of the Jewish people, the miracle of faith and of choosing hope, that is what came first. And now, I see it as their version of not being in the light, but being there before it arrives. A long time ago now, an acquaintance of mine lost her daughter to suicide. It was several years after I'd gone through a similar horror. And in talking to her one time, I suggested she try going to a support group that I had found that is specifically for parents who lose a child. She told me that she went, and I talked to her a few times after she had started going. She said the meetings felt like just a last resort, one more option that might bring hope back into her life. Otherwise, she felt the stress and chaotic emotions might eventually simply crush her. She said she attended those meetings not exactly with hope, but with a deep prayer that she would, one day, feel hope again. Going to those meetings, her version of making a cup of coffee and sitting in the dark, waiting for the light. When I don't have much faith that things will meaningfully change for the better, that things will turn out well, I aspire to be like my friend, still choosing to practice hope. Working for something not because it stands a good chance to succeed, because I have decided it is simply a good thing for me to do. Let me share with you a poem by artist, minister, author Jan Richardson. I often use this in the longest night service. Jan writes, "There is nothing that cries out more for a blessing than when the world is falling apart. This blessing will not fix you, will not mend you, will not give you false comfort. It will not talk to you about one door opening when another one closes. It will simply sit itself beside you among the shards and gently turn your face toward the direction from which the light will come, gathering itself about you as the world begins again. When it feels like there's little hope left, this is exactly the time when we must choose to bless ourselves by practicing hope. Hope will not fix the world. It will not even necessarily make us feel better. Hope is simply a presence that sits beside us among the shards of the shattered world as we wait and gently turn our faces in the direction from which the light will come. One morning a few weeks ago now, I awoke early, made myself a cup of coffee, and went to sit down and drink it in the dark near a window. With only the pale light of my computer screen, I read the headlines. Political news that filled me with rage. Another plan to unravel the public safety net for the most vulnerable among us. Another promise to cause even more destruction to our wounded planet. Sipping my coffee, as the sky began to turn a luminous slate blue, I thought, guns and hate and lies, all the destruction. And yet, on Sunday, I will go and I'll speak and greet long-term friends and new acquaintances at VUU with a gentle smile. For someone must, for we simply must. Hope will not talk to me about one door opening when another one closes. Hope will simply sit itself beside me and be present with me and gently turn my face toward the direction from which the light will come, gathering itself about me as the world begins again. As I sat with my coffee, the sky was now a paler, pre-dawn, kind of smoky blue. And I thought of Toni Morrison, as she said that we all devise ways to approach that magic place, that place where we make contact, become a conduit for something larger. We engage in a mysterious process of transformation. For her, the light is the signal of transition, but it's not being in the light. It's being there before it arrives. This is such a season of waiting. When hope is hard to find, when the light has not yet arrived, we must practice hope. We must orient our hearts to hope. Like Christians awaiting liberation and redemption, like a suffering parent finally walking into a meeting, like my friends who greet us at the door of this congregation with gentle hugs and smiles, whatever the week has held. We choose hope. We must because someone must. Sometimes we must weep, and yet we still sing of the gifts of grace and joy. For someone must. We surely must. At dawn, still sitting by the window with my cooling coffee, the sun finally rose above the horizon. The light, it came. My friends, when you find yourself in the dark, unconvinced that the light will return, make a cup of coffee, sit down facing the east, choose to practice hope. Watch as you sip your coffee, and the light always comes. May it be so. And now I'd like for you to join your voices with those of our singers to sing Hollow Bamboo. Please stand.
Light
be seated. Well, now it's time to transition to our offering. As the ushers come forward to pass the plates, I'd like to remind you that the offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to these people. It is as much a ritual as singing together or lighting our chalice or extending our welcome. It is a reminder of that form of love that we call generosity. Please give as you can and enjoy the music of our women's group singing, "Joy Will Come in the Morning." Our closing words this morning are from James Baldwin. One discovers the light in darkness. That is what darkness is for. Yet it is necessary, while in the darkness, to know that there is a light somewhere, to know that in oneself, waiting to be found, there is a light. And now we will sing to the light that comes to us every morning. Please stand and embody your spirit as we sing together, "Morning Has Come."
Upon
seated. Now, if you'll join me in the chalice extinguishing words, but then listen to our closing sung benediction. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May it guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet